This episode may contain adult themes and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Sorry.
What's the trick in making my love stick? What's the trick?
Hello, and welcome to Film Critic and the Common Man podcast. While other film podcasts might want to steal from the rich, we are selfish enough just to keep it for ourselves. Every episode, we discuss a film from the perspective of the film critic and the perspective of the common man. We may not agree, but it certainly won't be boring. I'm your co-host, Ben Miller. I'm a film critic, and I write about films for my own site, Ice Cream for Freaks. And I'm joined by my brother and common man co-host, a man who would love to be paid in cigarettes, Jake Miller. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, howdy, everyone.
So,
I'm doing good. How are y'all?
Coming off our tour de force performance in the Hook and Trimmers episode, we're going to run it back again with another pair of movies that we cannot divorce from our nostalgic childhood. Two movies by the same actor-director pair. And we're going to get into it. It's a Kevin Costner double feature. We're going to start off with Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, directed by Kevin Reynolds, written by Penn Densham and John Watson. Technically, I guess it is an original screenplay, but it's based on the 12th century folk tale. Starring Kevin Costner, Morgan Freeman, Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio, Christian Slater, and Alan Rickman, co-starring Geraldine McEwen, Michael McShane, Brian Blessed, Nick Brimble, Michael Wincott, and Sean Connery in a cameo role at the end. Opening date on June 14th, 1991. Made bank $165.5 million US, $225 international, $390.5 million on a $48 million budget. The second highest grossing movie of 1991 behind Terminator 2. Nominated for a single Oscar. Do you know what that single Oscar was, Jake?
Ooh. Sound?
Best original song. For the Bryan Adams song.
Oh.
That everything
I die for you.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything I do it for you. Lost
everything I do it for you.
Oh, I mean,
something like that.
That's very accurate. I appreciate your gusto. Lost to Beauty and the Beast. Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes 50% for critics. Just dead in the middle. 72% from audience, lower an audience score than I expected. I thought people were going to like this movie a lot more. We're going to get into all the issues.
Both these movies suck on the Rotten Tomatoes.
Man, Rotten Tomatoes did not like either one of these movies. So,
no.
The quick plot summary. If you don't know the plot summary of Robin Hood, I don't really know what's going on here, but generally, now this is kind of the grittier version of the Robin Hood tale. Robin Loxley, played by Kevin Costner, is in a prison in Jerusalem during the Crusades. He and his comrade Peter escape, saving the life of a Moor, Azim, played by Morgan Freeman. Peter is actually dying, so he promises to take care of my sister Marion. They go to England with Azim as his not slave, but essentially his companion, but he feels kind of indebted to.
He feels indebted to him. Yeah, because he got him out there.
Yeah. So they get back, and Robin shows up and expects to just be back on this land with his father. But the cruel sheriff of Nottingham, played by Alan Rickman, who is on one in this movie. He wants to seize the throne for himself, has his father's killed for his loyalty to the king who is gone in the Crusades. Robin saves a young boy from the sheriff's cousin, Guy of Gisborne, who is played by Michael Wincott, the eternally raspy voiced Michael Wincott. But he finds his father's corpse. His family servant Duncan, who is blinded. He's like, "Oh, your dad's a devil worshiper." Apparently, the worst thing you could be in 1194.
Yeah.
But
it's killed a lot of people.
It's killed a lot of people.
That accusation has put a lot of people down.
So the sheriff is trying to take the throne, and Robin goes and finds Marion. And they obviously this kind of tenuous love, and then becoming the outlaw that he is, Robin heads into the forest, encounters a bunch of outlaws led by Little John, who challenges Robin to a duel. Robin wins and earns the friendship. There's another bandit named Will Scarlet, who is forever fopped-haired Christian Bale, or Christian Slater, excuse me. No, not Christian. Yeah. Yes, Christian Slater, who does not like Robin. And they essentially become the titular band of hoods, as living in the woods, stealing from the rich, giving to the poor, all that kind of stuff. Things keep going more in those directions. Friar Tuck shows up, a fat, huge man who just loves to drink and somehow is a priest as well. So
that's never.
So the sheriff continually gets more upset at things not going right. Eventually kills his cousin Guy. Gets the Celts to invade the forest to try to kill Robin, and captures a bunch of the woodsmen and is going to hang them to lure Robin out. Robin outwits them all, saves everybody. The sheriff is able to take Marion and is getting of all the weird things the sheriff has in his life, he wants to consummate his wedding legally for some reason. Like, of all the weird stuff he does in this movie, that's the thing. That's the sticking point. Anyway,
he's a man of principles.
I guess so. So he has Marion up there, and there's a sham wedding. Robin breaks in and is able to kill the sheriff. Azim kills the witch. And they're about to, and then everything kind of works out. And then Robin and Marion are about to be married. And then the Richard Lionheart shows back up, which is Sean Connery. And then gives the bride away, and everybody's happy. The end.
Yeah.
Nothing bad ever happened to the Crusades besides that.
Nope. It's fine.
So, we talked about Peter Pan. We talked about Hook, the last episode.
Yeah. Because
of our Peter Pan love of that cartoon. Essentially, this is kind of piggybacking off the same thing, going exactly from the Robin Hood cartoon.
It's a remake. Yeah.
And there are
remakes.
I like it. That's what we need to do every time there's one of these. There's the various versions of Robin Hood. I guess this is the closest it's getting to like gritty realism for a while there, at least. Like the one from the 30s with Errol Flynn, pretty good movie. It's pretty good, more of a swashbuckling. And the Robin Hood, obviously, the kid Robin Hood is the classic that will forever. Robin Hoods will be held to that standard.
Yeah, sure. Well, and something I like about this one is that, they reference the Crusades and why, because whenever you watch the kid one, it's just,
animals, anthropomorphic animals.
King Lionheart or whatever. It's, he's off battling someone, it's not, we're not fighting over the Holy Land or anything. And so I like that this addresses the Crusades and
actually puts it in real historical context.
At least to a degree.
Yes.
Yes.
So it's kind of funny because we puts it in this kind of historical context, and we're like, no, it's kind of going for gritty realism. And then nothing else with the movie is any sort of realistic aspect to it. Like, I mean, this has been discussed ad nauseum, but Kevin Costner's accent in this movie is truly hilarious. I mean, he just decides from scene to scene whether or not he wants to have it, or he wants to kind of like half have it, or if he just wants to sound like Kevin Costner. Always fun. I mean, even Christian Slater is trying.
Yeah. Well,
a little bit.
Yeah. It's I will say, for me, yes, it's kind of ridiculous, but it's not. Maybe it's because we're Americans and these are both Americans. It wasn't terribly distracting. No. Now I can see, like, if you're English being like,
well, I think that's the big thing, is like you have these authentic English actors like Alan Rickman and Geraldine McEwen and Brian Blessed and Michael McShane, and like they are just having their regular voice. And then the main 4 stars of this movie, Kevin Costner, Freeman, Mastrantonio, and Slater, are all Americans. And just like,
Yeah.
Now Mastrantonio fooled me. I thought she was British. Like, Marion is actually, she's from Illinois. So, I mean, she does a pretty solid,
she did pretty good.
a pretty solid job.
Out of those 4, if you'd asked me which one was British, I would have picked her.
I would have said the same thing. It's funny, like there's always a problem whenever you have certain actors. Like it actually works in the opposite sometimes. Like a British actor trying, like Hugh Grant is British for the history. He can never be anything but he can't be an American. He's British.
Yeah.
It works the same way, the opposite way. Christian Slater is such an American actor. And so is Kevin Costner. Like they're so American in every sense. Being a British guy never really sits it. Like, it doesn't matter if they nailed the accent, which they don't. But if they did, it just doesn't, the authentic, no, it just doesn't fit.
Yeah. Well, it's like, what was his name? Taken. What's his name?
Liam Neeson. Another good example.
That guy can only do his own voice.
Which, and it's funny. It's funny. He can do variations on European accents.
Kinda.
Like, but like, even he can tone down his Irish brogue essentially, and the English, but I mean, he can't do American. It's
no, that's the problem with the Taken.
yeah.
And some other movies where he's playing an American, he doesn't do it. Now, like Schindler's List.
Yeah, he can. Yeah.
He adapts better to that. Yeah, he cannot do American. I
agree. And so, now the accents in this movie are just kind of the one thing. Like, okay, well, it's always they talk over and over and about like the wooded areas in rural England, and you get if we go in there, all these outlaws are going to come and take our stuff. And you're just like, well, every wooded area in this movie is wide open. Like it's you can see miles in the woods. Like, we're talking about the Blair Witch. Whenever you're going through and you're like, everything kind of looks the same and it's pretty thick, and you're like, nothing. This is not this. This is soundstage woods. Like, it's just, it doesn't seem like it's all that treacherous or would be something that would be dangerous.
I don't know. I spend a lot of time outside and things can go hairy on you.
I get you. But I mean, just kind of the, everything about this movie is pretty silly. Why is Robin Hood such a interesting story to kids? Why is it a kid friendly movie?
This is the ultimate anti-hero movie, or not even movie, story.
Yes.
The whole thing. So, I mean, and I remember being in like literature classes and stuff like that, and they're like, this is what an anti-hero is. It's like Robin Hood. He's a thief, but he's doing it for noble reasons, and you root for the outlaw rather than the establishment. And I also think, I mean, there's just something ingrained in us, especially probably as Americans, is an anti-establishment, fight against the man kind of a thing. You root for the underdog, and plus they're so corrupt. Yeah, the government's so twisted that, okay, this hero fighting for the little man.
Yeah,
that appeals, I mean, just to almost everybody,
Yeah, and it's funny because on paper you wouldn't think it was like, oh, this is something like, hey, who's the bad guy? Oh, the government. It's like, what's the problem? They tax too many people. You're like, taxes are too high and the government's the problem. Yes. It's like, okay, are they authoritarian? Yes, they are. It's like, okay, they're doing all this bad stuff. Yep, this, and this. Yep. Okay. that on like it's almost a political
That's
thriller.
called that's called the American Revolution.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's the only reason we're a country is because someone got pissed off
over
taxes and trying to control them too much.
Exactly. I mean, it's a really interesting aspect of that. But so let's take the accent stuff out of the Kevin Costner of it all. I do like Kevin Costner as a hero in this movie. Like the idea of him, it's a little silly as like he does have the charisma to be like, I'm in charge and all that kind of stuff. So that part works, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And he does seem fairly efficient with a bow and arrow. It's not something where it's like, he doesn't seem like he knows what he's doing. He's like, no, seems like he's really good at this.
Yeah. And as far as archery goes, and I'll talk more about this later, but they're shooting an English longbow. And I mean, I don't know if they set it up special or something, but if that is a genuine English longbow, you got to be a stout bastard to draw that fucker and accurately shoot like those. I mean, yeah. So if he actually did train on the English longbow, then that's very impressive. But it comes across like he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. And I mean, the rest of the movie, like there's obviously a lot of silliness going on, but I mean, it's funny. The one person taking it the most seriously is obviously Morgan Freeman. In his role being the, it's kind of a funny part in his career. I wouldn't expect him to be, I was like, oh, he probably needed the money or he's like not in the right. No, he's right off of Driving Miss Daisy and Glory. He's about to be in Unforgiven. Like this is kind of like the early peak of Morgan Freeman. And you're like, no, he just decided he's like, I'm going to be in an action movie. Why not?
Yeah. No, and he does a great job. Really, I mean, I guess, it could be just because we've lived in the Middle East.
Yeah.
You go, that's a pretty hokey, Arabian accent or
and you know what
Arabic
is
accent
and what it where you know I was fighting the Crusades and not to mention you're like, okay, he's Moorish, which a Moor is a very broad term of what you could like throw down and don't be wrong,
it's usually it's black North Africans
yes
who are Islamic Muslim.
And you know, you got the, you know, it's like, Allah forgives it. He prays on the rug. He has the big Arabian sword, which is the coolest thing he had. And that thing, every time I see that, I go, man, that must be a bitch to sheath. Like trying to put that thing back.
Like, oh God, I severed my femoral artery.
But of all the kind of goofy things in this movie, the top of the goofy, we talked about it in our Die Hard podcast a little bit, but man, Alan Rickman is, as the sheriff, is having a ball. Just,
dude, he is like the bad guy. There for a little bit, he was just the bad guy. You know what? Actually, I was thinking about it, and the only movie I can think of like where he wasn't a bad guy necessarily was like, was he in Love Actually? I didn't look it up.
But he cheated on Emma Thompson.
Yeah.
So I mean,
but
the things he's best known for is obviously being a villain. And you know, even the non-villain, even the Harry Potter side of things is still villainous adjacent.
Yeah.
There's a couple of things they made a Jane Austen adaptation of Sense and Sensibility, and he is a very gentle, sweet kind man, and it's really nice. I'm like, oh, that's what Alan Rickman. That's the Alan Rickman I want in my life. But it's, but yeah. So apparently they were
next movie, terrorist.
Exactly. He does something like that. It's funny because he's so, the funny thing about him in this movie is they apparently really wanted him for this movie. He really wanted, he didn't want to. He's like, he'd done some other stuff. And he's like, I'm getting a little famous. It's like, I don't really want to be in Robin Hood. And they kept offering more money, and they'd be like, well, do you want to do whatever you want with the character? He said, fine, as long as I get to do whatever I want. And they went, okay. And they spun him up and let him do this. So half of his lines are improvised or specifically stupid, like the you 1045, you 11, or you 1030, you 1045, bring a friend, all that kind of stuff. Like, everything interesting about him in this movie is essentially something he came up with. So I mean, I was looking at the awards for this movie, and like I said, it was nominated for Best Original Song for the rendition that is now spoiled by your now soon to be classic rendition of the song by Bryan Adams. But I was looking.
I can do it again if you want.
I mean, if you want to grace the world with it, I'm not going to stop you, but that's really on your side. I mean,
wow.
We have a lot of podcasts left. So in the British Academy Film Awards, the British Oscars, they didn't only nominate Alan Rickman, they gave the award to Alan Rickman for that year in the 45th. I mean, and it's not something like, and he beat he beat some people from Hamlet, some British movies, like a Kenneth Branagh movie. He won that thing. And I mean, he won it next to Anthony Hopkins and Jodie Foster for Silence of the Lambs. So, I mean, like, it's great. He's just so fun. Like, if you're going to have a bad guy, why are you bad? I'm just bad. Like, there's the motivations behind it aren't really there. Like,
he's just like, I'm a piece of shit.
He's like,
what do you want from me? I just want to do hood rat shit with my friends. Hood
rat. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. On the other side, talk about the all-time like secondary bad guy, Michael Wincott as Guy. Man, he's so.
Oh yeah, he's a good bad guy.
He's a good bad guy. Also, he's one of the bad guys from the Three Musketeers. The one with he was in. I think he was in The Crow. Couple other movies from this. He was in the fourth Alien movies. He's been in a lot of goofy stuff. The Count of Monte Cristo remake. He was the jailer.
Yes.
And just recently, he was in the movie Nope. He was actually really good in the movie Nope. But I mean, it's always nice to see like Michael Wincott. You're like, that guy.
Does he actually have that scar?
I don't know if he does. He might. That's a good question. Now I have to look it up.
I don't know. But I mean, he looks like a tough bad guy you wouldn't want to tangle with.
But at the same time, he's kind of handsome. Like, it's
rugged.
Right, yeah, rugged. Yes, that's a good way to put it. Yes,
rugged man.
Yes. I believe that scar is real. The one next to his ear.
Yeah, looks too deep.
It's a cool one to have.
Yeah, I only have lame ones.
It's like, my knuckle or this weird thing on the side of my finger.
Yeah, circumcision.
Yeah. All right.
I did not consent to that, by the way.
Genetic genital mutilation.
I'm looking at you, Mom.
Okay, so I loved this movie when I was a kid. So do you remember I got Robin Hood toys for my birthday one year. I got a catapult, which was the coolest thing I could possibly get.
Yep. I believe we were on vacation in Colorado.
That is correct. Cabin. Yeah. Yes, that is correct. I remember this specifically.
Yeah, I think all three of us were like super into. Yeah.
and
they came out with all kinds of toys after that. Yeah.
And I remember, obviously Robin Hood is such a kind of a callback to anytime you use a bow and arrow, you're either an Indian or you're Robin Hood, and there's not really an in between. Like, and we had the classic plastic bow and arrow that had the bow had a suction cup, and we also had we had sliding glass doors when we were kids. So man, that was just peppering that thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, of all the cool, like a lot of people are good at shooting guns. Shooting a bow and arrow cool is like a cool, like it's like playing classical piano like nobody else can.
Yeah. Well, it's funny. I meant to bring my bow in here, but oh man, and I should have brought our granddad's bow. Actually, I inherited it, and it's a long bow.
Yeah.
But yeah, and my son has a little compound bow, but I mean, we just shoot targets.
Sure.
Just typical, just like boy shit. Like, let's fire this thing.
Sure.
No different than sticking suction cups onto sliding glass window. So, I mean, we're by no means archers over here, but they're fun.
I've never really understood the idea of hunting with a bow, because like you have to be really good, because if you don't get much of a second shot, and you have to be kind of close. And
a lot closer.
And if it's something that's going to hurt you, you're gonna have to be good at it. Like, I guess that's part of the skill.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you got to get closer. Shot placement matters more, just because you don't have as much mass, as much energy going in.
Yeah, sure.
So you really need to hit them in a good spot. But I don't know. I've never archery hunted.
I haven't either.
I have a few buddies that have, but I don't know. When it comes to hunting, I'm like, I've got a gun.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to dumb this down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this movie, we admit that it has a fair amount of faults, but you're still a fan?
I'm still a fan.
See, and on the rewatches, I essentially look at it as like all the talking and all the, hanging out in the woods and all the thievery, that's kind of boring. But man, that last 30 minutes when they have to save everybody, and when
they're hanging, and
when they're hanging, and him shoot, and obviously the slow motion of him shooting the flaming arrow, and all that kind of stuff. That stuff, when that revs up, it's like the action. As an action movie, this is pretty good.
Yeah,
it's all the in between that's kind of stupid.
Yeah, no, there's definitely great parts. When they're shoving the gallows down,
stuff like that.
Lifting up their feet and everything like that.
Yeah,
but it's typically most people that got hung, once you drop it,
got their
snaps your neck.
Snapped. It's not to be suffocated. Yeah. It was supposed to be quick. It was considered it was mercy. It was a mercy kill, essentially. Like it was what's the word I'm looking for? Humane. It was the humane way to kill somebody.
Yeah, at the time. Yeah. Because and I'm not saying there's not botched ones, but
sure.
Yeah. The way you're really supposed to do it is place the knot in such a way that and you have to measure the length of the fall and everything. There was a guy named Blackjack something in Texas, I believe, and they hung him. Well, he gained so much weight during his time in jail, they miscalculated length of the fall. Boop. Decapitated in front of God and everybody. But
okay,
I can't remember his Blackjack something. Anyways,
I have a question right up your alley before we move on to the other movie. Okay,
get out of my alley.
The old lady from the bathtub in The Shining, or the old witch in this one. You gotta make a choice. You gotta make a choice. She is so
Shining.
Yeah,
I'm going Shining.
I think so too, man.
And there's a bed right there.
And
too.
she's so unsettling in this movie. Just so like the
red is
eye.
Creepy. I hate when she's like spinning that stuff around in the plate and like making a potion or something. It's creepy.
Very creepy and unsettling. I agree.
Made my Peter hole shut off.
yeah. Good callback on that one, buddy. I appreciate that. Okay, so we've had this. We've been talking about how much we enjoy this movie, and yes, Critic's kind of killing it. We kind of make sense because of the accents and all this stuff like that. What about the other Kevin Costner, Kevin Reynolds collaboration? One that a much different type of movie in a lot of different ways. From 1995, Waterworld, directed by Kevin Reynolds, written by Peter Rader and David Toohey, starring Kevin Costner, Dennis Hopper, Janine Triplehorn, Tina Majorino, and Michael Jeter, co-starring Gerald Murphy, already called Kim Coates, and Jack Black. Did you see Jack Black in the movie?
Didn't notice him.
He was the pilot. Whenever they harpooned the boat, he's the pilot of the plane as it's going around. Jack Black in one of his first movies.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I didn't notice it.
Yeah. No. So if next time you watch Waterworld, Jack Black is in there. Anyway, so that opened on July 28th, 1995. Pretty good box office considering. 88.2 million in the US, 176 million international. It made $264.2 million, but it was $175 million to make. Yeah, that is a lot. So, I mean, it is what it is. Actually did get an Oscar nomination. I put no words. I was wrong. It made best sound. This one.
Okay.
So I guess that makes sense. The sound in the movie is pretty cool. It's not like it's not worthy of that.
I think just like boats going through water, the jet skis, that kind of stuff. Yeah. I could see it doing okay on sound.
Now, this is the first movie we've ever talked about like this. 45% Rotten Tomatoes for critics, 43% from audience. The audiences hated it as much as the critics did, which it's hard to say that when it makes $264 million. Is it one of those things that's like, it's so terrible we have to watch it? But I don't think it is that terrible. I'm not sure I've seen a movie that comes across as, boy, that looks like a pain in the ass to make. Like, that did not look fun.
Yeah. I definitely think this is probably very close to Mad Max.
Yes, I mean, as far
in terms of the expense and the filming and the scenes and all that. And it's kind of like, man, y'all did a lot of work for that.
Whatever it is. I mean, like, and there are these, obviously, like the famed crazy productions, like Titanic was it was expected to be a massive disaster until it turned into the phenomenon that it was. Same thing with
a
Avatar.
Record breaker.
Yeah, a lot of things like that. But I mean, with this one, you're like, man, all that work, and what was it all for? I'll do a quick plot summary of a movie that is extremely plotty, but I will do a quick plot summary of Waterworld. So the year is 2500. The polar ice caps have melted as a result of sea levels have now risen. The logistics of it don't really work, but it doesn't matter. It literally, if every piece of ice on the world melted, I think most of the world would still be here. Anyway, it's 2500. Sea levels have risen. Everybody lives on everything's underwater. The remains of human civilization essentially live on rugged floating communities known as atolls. And so they're all atolls. Yeah. So they're all living on those or on boats. Dry land exists somewhere, but it's just a myth essentially. So Kevin Costner plays the Mariner, never has an actual name besides the Mariner. He is a lone drifter He trades dirt, a rare commodity, and other things to different places. They find out that he is a mutant with gills behind his ears, a very unsettling little scene, especially whenever you're a kid. And they're like, they gonna throw him in, they're gonna kill him for some reason because he's a mutant. But the atoll is attacked by the smokers, essentially a gang of pirates headed by Dennis Hopper, named the Deacon for some reason, and also the Nord, Gerald Murphy, with this incredible big lion's mane of red hair. Anyway, so the smokers are a gang of pirates looking for Enola, this little girl, Tina Margarino, who is they apparently has the map to dry land tattooed on her back, as is one to do. She is watched by her guardian Helen, played by Jeanine Triplehorn. They try to escape in a gas balloon, but it releases too early. The balloon gets away, and then the Mariner is freed by Helen as kind of a, hey, if I let you go, will you help us get away? And he does. He blows up a bunch of smoker boats, hurting the Deacon, tries to get away. They're floating on the water, and everybody keeps coming, they want to find Enola. Enola's really annoying, and the Mariner eventually gets to the point where he's like, okay, I kind of like her now. Helen likes him too, after eventually offering herself to him, but he doesn't reciprocate. So the smokers abduct Enola. For some reason, in the middle of this, the Mariner decides to take Helen down where dry land is, and it's actually all underwater, where he gets dirt and finds all these different things. The smokers take Enola, and they believe to kill everybody, but they hide underwater because the Mariner obviously can breathe underwater. The Mariner takes a jet ski and tracks down Deacon at the remains of the Exxon Valdez shore. So the Mariner,
and this is in 2500.
Yes, so this is a 600-year-old boat. That's why the Exxon Valdez is there. Like, it's, let's not worry.
That's like us saying we got on the Mayflower.
Yes,
it's like,
oh,
that's long gone.
Yeah, that there's like the remnants
Nina,
of
the Pinta, Santa Maria, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. It's definitely not there. So anyway, the Mariner blows up the Exxon Valdez and is able to survive save Enola from the Deacon. Deacon accidentally kills himself with a bunch of others on jet skis. They escape into the hot air balloon, and they follow Enola's map to dry land, presumably, Mount Everest or whatever the hell it is. They find dry land. Everybody stays except the Mariner, who's like, nope, I'm a Mariner, I'm going to leave. Okay, so he goes, and the end. What a goofy movie. I see all these things, like, a lot of times you have these movies where everybody is, post-apocalyptic, and like you were talking about Mad Max, and it's like in the middle of the desert, and you're like, everybody's kind of dirty. This one, everybody's dirty, but they're surrounded by water, which seems worse. It just, can you imagine always being just wet? Like, just,
That's gross, man.
So I mean, the entire
but seriously, that would be a problem. But also presuming, salt water, that has a very drying effect,
sure.
And obviously, you know what it feels like in your eyes, and
there's a lot of interesting avenues this movie could have gone down, and it really doesn't explore any of them. Like, what's it like to live on here? Like, the movie opens with Kevin Costner drinking his own piss. A really apt metaphor for this movie in general. Like, I'm going to pee, drink it for your entertainment. You're like, okay, nobody asked for this. Like, you didn't need to do this. Like,
actually, you could rename this movie Kevin Costner Drinks His Own Piss for Your Entertainment.
Pretty much. I mean, so
that's about all you need now.
Yeah, I mean,
Uh, well, it reminds me of, I think I mentioned this last episode about Noah, the
Yes.
retelling of Noah's Ark.
Yes.
I like when stories are retold. However, and this isn't a retelling, but well, I mean, almost the whole world floods, but it's like, yeah, you could have done so much more with that setting, I think,
Yeah,
but
there's so many, there's a lot of interesting like minutia that I want to know about. Like they're talking about like, oh, dirt's a big commodity. It's like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense and all that kind of stuff. And the various things along the lines. And what's the coolest part of the movie? Whenever Kevin Costner takes Helen down to look at the SeaWorld, you're like, oh, that's kind of nifty. Like, and
yeah.
at the same time, even that you're like, okay, so he's just going to drag down this glass pot and somehow keep her alive, and he doesn't explode from the pressure. Like it really strains levels of silliness.
Yeah.
But I mean, just
Well, I mean, he's got gills, so he should be able to regulate pressure better. Like lake trout, whenever they come up really fast, they have a capability of burping to regulate their
do they really?
texture. Yeah.
Interesting.
And it's a good way to know that you've got a lake trout is bubbles come up. They start
really?
burping and they regulate themselves. Now you rip up a walleye and their eyes are popped out.
Sure. Like
their guts coming out.
Yeah. I mean, this is kind of one of those things. It's just the nature.
Anyways, I'm just saying it's possible.
Well, we talked about this right before we actually started. Like they find gills on the Mariner and they're like, oh, we got to kill him. We got to sacrifice him to this organic ooze. We're like, why isn't he your king? Like, shouldn't he be ruling over you all? It's like the entire world is made of water. This guy can live underwater, stay underwater as long as he wants.
Yeah.
And you have the first thing, we got to kill it.
Yeah. No, I'd be like, okay, join our team. Yes. And you go down and get resources that no one else can do. He can go down and spearfish. He can kill the big, almost looked like the Tremors monster or whatever that thing was, whatever. Yeah, he should be your MVP.
Now that scene where he kills the fish for them to eat is pretty funny because this is a hundreds and hundreds of pound fish. And next thing you see the meat of like, I don't know, like a fillet.
Yeah, no, it's like tons.
Yeah,
this thing's like this. It's like some devil whale or something. But I guess you can always cut it down.
You're all I cut off this little piece.
It's like you got a tuna or something.
Exactly. I mean, it's just kind of how silly this movie is in general. I mean, can you imagine? Okay, so you're a world-class actor, an actor enough where you're like, I want you to be in this movie. I want you to be a bit part in this movie, or let's say I want you to play Kim Coates, the crazy guy who gets on the boat and wants to. So they're in the middle of the water, and there's that other guy who wants to trade.
Oh yes.
The crazy guy,
the guy that was in Black Hawk Down.
Yes, and in Sons of Anarchy. Okay. Yes. So let's say you're Kim Coates, and they're like, hey man, we'll give you a nice little paycheck. Do this movie. How long are you on this set before you're like, no amount of money is worth this? Is it a day? Is it 2 days? Is it? Because it just there's no part of this that looks like anybody's having fun. Even Dennis Hopper, who's probably on all sorts of, God knows what he's on. I mean,
yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess it would depend on your experience with the water, and do you get seasick? That's a big factor. I mean, because some people that get violently ill at sea like have to get helicoptered back because of dehydration.
Yeah.
So I guess it would depend, but I don't know.
I mean, so I want to go through a little bit of production stuff from this movie. Kevin Costner invested $22 million of his own money to cover the rest of the budget. I imagine he probably recouped it whenever the movie did make a little bit of money. The floating atoll set was actually created. It was floating. It was off the islands of Hawaii, and was incredibly expensive and was destroyed a couple times due to weather. Always fun. Kevin Costner wanted to direct the film, but then he gave his friend Kevin Reynolds the opportunity to direct it, and then Costner kind of went, "No, I'm going to direct it more. I'm more directing it than you are." It essentially ruined their relationship, and they never worked again after this. I can imagine.
Oh wow! Yeah.
Also, apparently, Kawasaki jet skis were. I think it might have been promotional aspects of it. Kevin Costner worked for 157 days. That's 6 days a week. I cannot. He apparently nearly died. A professional surfer was his stunt double. It sounds like a real mess. At what point is no pun intended, a sunken cost? Like, are you on there for 30 days and you're like, you know what, guys, this just isn't worth it?
Yeah, I would say it would be like in military history, you would call it a Pyrrhic victory or a Pyrrhic victory, depending on how you pronounce it. It's like, yes, it was a success, but at what cost? Like, was that worth that much of my life?
Yeah, there's a poker term.
Injury and
there's a poker term called pot committed, where essentially you spent so much money in this pot. You either have to commit everything to it, and if you give up, what's the point are you even playing for? So exactly the same thing. Okay, so I want to talk about this Hopper. So Hopper is really something in this movie. Does he make the movie better, or is he kind of drag it down? Like, he seems like the right energy for what this movie is bringing.
I think he fits in this movie pretty well, but that's not necessarily a compliment.
Yeah, it's the chaos of what this movie is bringing. Hopper, like, it seems like Hopper might be the only one who understands how big of a mess this is going to be.
Yeah. I don't know. Dennis Hopper's, he's funny. I mean, he's weird. I just think about other stuff he's in, and I'm like, he's just all hoppery.
He's very hoppery. He is at his hopperiest in this one. I mean, he is, all the goofy thing, all the goofy sayings, pulling the eye patch up, being all like, it's just, I'm not saying, like, I've seen Dennis Hopper be good, but when I think of good actors, I don't think of Dennis Hopper.
No, not really.
Yeah, I mean, but he kind of suits.
What was that Rush he was in? Was that, or no, what was it called? What's a bus movie?
Speed.
Speed. Yeah.
But he's not good in that movie because he's not supposed to be good in that movie. He's supposed to be a silly, over the top guy, and he nails it. Like, that's what he does. You've seen Easy Rider. I have not seen Easy Rider.
Yes.
Now that's more the good side of Dennis Hopper.
He does. Yeah. He does pretty good in it, but I don't know. Maybe he just didn't have enough drugs in him at that point or something.
And I mean, I've seen, you've seen the movie True Romance. Okay, if you haven't seen True Romance, it's fine, because all you need to see of Dennis Hopper is the scene I'm going to put right here. Dennis Hopper is being interrogated by Christopher Walken. It's like an 8-minute scene, and they are both incredible in this movie. They're both very sincere. It's Tarantino dialogue, but not directed by Tarantino. I'll get you to see the clip, and obviously if you click that link you can see the clip as well. He's really, really good in that movie. But I mean, it's, you know, it's, you talk about, we talked about this with other actors like Nicholson. It's like when you hire Dennis Hopper, you're getting Dennis Hopper. Like,
right.
You can't expect him to deliver this nuanced, subtle performance of a bad guy. No.
Yeah.
And just like Rickman, he is bad because he's bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah, it's not like hiring Daniel Day-Lewis to play Lincoln.
Yes.
Okay. You're gonna get Lincoln.
Yes. Authentically Lincoln.
Yeah. As close as you're gonna get, probably.
Yes. Yep.
As close as he can get. But yeah, you hire Nicholson, Hopper, you're getting Nicholson or Hopper.
Pretty much.
Wahlberg.
Yeah. Probably
you're getting a Wahlberg.
Wahlberg, yeah, exactly. But I mean, okay, so I want to talk about the moment you remember and the moment I remember more than anything else in this entire movie. And that's when Kevin Costner drops that flare. He drops that flare in that oil.
That's the best scene.
Him dropping it. It's not him dropping it. It's that old guy saying, "Oh, thank God." Like,
yeah,
just that little line in the middle of all that gives so much context to anything. It's such an interesting, much more interesting movie if you focus on that one little line.
If ever one scene could possibly resurrect a terrible fucking movie,
yes,
it's that. He's in such fucking misery that he knows he's about to, it's almost over.
The sweet release of death comes.
I've only got a second left of this bullshit. Thank God.
That line is so much more fascinating than anything else that happens in the movie. And
it really is. And something that I find interesting with that specific little scene is, you think about the history, world history with slavery or indentured servitude and like horrible working conditions, being a coal miner or something. How many people, like, oh, thank God something's fallen on me, or
thank God this mine is collapsing. Exactly.
Like, God, yeah.
That I agree. That's so much more interesting than anything else happens in the movie, and and that being so good makes the rest of the movie worse because you've hit that, and then you're like, man, I still remember that old guy, and then he's going through killing people. Like, he's in a car for some reason. Like, there's a car in the middle of the Exxon Valdez. Like, that's so stupid, and you can't get out of your mind the old guy because that was more interesting than anything else that's happened.
It's kind of like if I spent a week with you, and let's say 3-4 days, I look like a complete hobo. I do, but I'm on, I don't take a bath. I'm in dirty clothes and everything. And then I spruce up real nice and have a custom fitted suit, and I'm charming and vivacious as I always am.
Always. And
then I just go back to looking like crap. Then you're like, wait, I know you can do that.
Yeah. What?
So why do you look like crap again?
Yeah. I'm really curious where that came from. Like, where did that moment of brilliance in kind of this wasteland of weird, where'd that come from? It's a fascinating little snippet.
It comes from every working person ever.
Well, you got to
where you just go like, oh, thank God, this is over. Well, even once 5 o'clock hits,
yes,
even that simple is like, oh, thank God, and
you
can leave. You got to
think like
relief.
Where in this shoot was this done? Was it like the third to last day of this shoot? And they're just like, this has been hell. This movie's almost over. Oh, thank God. And
that guy wasn't even acting. Yeah, he was an extra, and they said, sorry, you're getting aced. He didn't even have a line. That was just improv. He's like, oh, thank God. I can go home tomorrow.
Oh, that's great. But I wish more of that was more interesting. All right. So we talked about, yes, we kind of recognize that Robin Hood's not a very good movie, but we like it. Do you like Waterworld? Or do you kind of watch it like, I'm not sure I like it, but I still watch it anyway?
Yeah, kind of. I think it at least holds the appeal of that apocalyptic.
Yeah.
Kind of like zombie movies. You're like, that would never happen. I'll never be in this situation. But it just makes you think, how would I handle that? What would I do? You know, that kind of stuff. Even though it's so stupid, you're like, oh, what if the whole world was water? This
is definitely one where like, well, I'd be dead. Like, it's like, I don't think I'd last much on here. It's like, I'm definitely not the old guy making hot air balloons or something like that. But yeah. All right, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. Okay. All right, we are back. It is time for my favorite segment of the week. It's Full for a Dumbass. Every week I go for the filmography of a filmmaker and put Jake's cinematic knowledge to the test. It is time for the man, the myth, the legend himself. No woman in the world who is over the age of 40 does not love him. It is Kevin Costner himself, the man who has always been in your mom's dreams. I hate to break it to you, everybody. I mean, when you think of who's the handsome actor who your mom is probably a big fan of, it's probably Kevin Costner, right? Like,
I don't think she'd kick him out of bed for eating crackers, you know.
Started his career early, a lot of different interesting things. He started his career in the movie The Big Chill as the dead friend that actually brings everybody together, but his scenes were cut. So he's actually not in The Big Chill. It's a really small stuff here and there. Really broke through in the movie, the first movie on this list. Have you seen the Western 1985 Silverado?
Silverado.
It is. It's
75.
85. It's Kevin.
85.
It's Kevin Kline, Scott Glenn, Kevin Costner, and Danny Glover. It's interesting.
I don't think so.
It's not bad. It's fun. Kevin Costner is having a ball in this movie. He's like a young gunslinger, just having a blast. Really brought him out to kind of acclaim to people. And then 2 years later, he officially became Kevin Costner, the movie star, in as the one and only Elliot Ness in The Untouchables.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a great freaking movie. Love it.
That's the epitome for me. That's the epitome of a movie I really enjoy, really like the performances, and I have so many issues with it. Like, I have a lot of, there's some really dumb things that happen in it. I don't like the directorial choices. They like heavy-handed, but with you, I like The Untouchables and Robert De Niro doing his thing, heroic Kevin Costner, Sean Connery, just being Sean Connery. But that was the first time that anybody would be like, okay, Kevin Costner being a movie star is a thing. 2 years later, the next year, actually, my favorite of the Kevin Costner sports movies, Bull Durham.
Yes.
I love Bull Durham.
Definitely. I do too.
It's such a good view of kind of how even minor league athletes are all kind of assholes. Like, they're all just kind of shitbirds. And great movie. I don't necessarily think of Susan Sarandon as being necessarily gorgeous and everything. She's more of like the good actor, man. She's there's something about her in that movie. Anyway. Yeah. The next year, keeping up the same energy as Ray Kinsella in the baseball classic Field of Dreams.
Yes, of course.
I heard like there's so much about Field of Dreams that is much more interesting than you remember. Like, I'm not sure if you've seen Field of Dreams recently, but
it's been a while.
So, you just think, oh, they're just like hanging out in Iowa and ghosts and kind of stuff. And it's like, they do a lot more than that. Like they go get Burt Lancaster. They go to a Fenway Park, and all these kind of interesting kind of side quests, and James Earl Jones doing the James Earl Jones thing. We talked about him in that.
No, that movie I think is maybe the best expression of a love affair with baseball.
Yes, that's a really good point. Moneyball and Field of Dreams are probably 1 and 2 of like, I'm romantic about baseball, and this is the movie that puts it out there. I agree.
It's almost like a rom-com or a chick flick for someone that's into that.
Yeah,
it's like, if you're a baseball lover, this is like your romantic, it
touches on the parts of baseball that make it so endearing. Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yes. Yep. I love Field of Dreams. The next year, everybody's grandpa's favorite movie, including ours, Dances with Wolves.
Yep.
All timer.
It's probably going to make my list. We'll probably just have to do that one.
So there's I think he has a 4-hour version of Dances with Wolves. So there's a book you gave me. You gave me a I think it's back here somewhere actually. There it is. It's up there. So You're Gonna Be a Dad. It's up here next to the and you gave it to me, and in that it's saying like, okay, so late nights are a big factor, so you got to find long ass movies. And he said the director's cut of Dances with Wolves is 4 hours long. Watch that. The kid won't sleep. So I always think of that. I love Dances with Wolves. There's a lot of cool stuff to it, and got a win for Best Picture, got a Best Director win. Great movie. It's one of those. For some reason, people kind of sour on it. I love Dances with Wolves. I think it's great.
We have to do it. I have so much to talk about it that I don't want to spoil it.
Sure,
but no. For whatever reason, as a young kid, I just got fascinated with Native American culture and everything like that. And that's a great one. So I'm gonna save my ammo.
Okay. I was just say you got a lot in there. So then next year he does Robin Hood. He actually did Dances with Wolves, Robin Hood, and then JFK, which I know you've seen because we talked about JFK last week with Kevin Bacon. So he does all those back to back, and then he makes a movie which is really terrible, but it made a ton of money. The Bodyguard. It is a real bad movie. A movie where he is not very good. He does not have chemistry with Whitney Houston.
It really seems like he does not give a shit.
He really does. Really on cruise control.
Yeah, you can kind of blame it on the aloofness of being a bodyguard.
Yeah.
But I feel like he was like, Whitney Houston, that's going to be a big box office no matter what. I'll phone it in. Well,
and that's always I get frustrated with actors a lot of times when I know you can be good and you get to, like Costner is very Costner goes Untouchables, Bull Durham, Field of Dreams, where he cares. Yeah. And then he does some small movies where he doesn't really care. He does Dances with Wolves where he really cares.
Yes.
He does Robin Hood, doesn't care. JFK does care.
Yeah.
Perfect World, or Bodyguard doesn't care. Then he goes to A Perfect World, which I don't have on this list because we're going to do it very soon.
Yeah.
We got Perfect World coming up on this list.
That's a big one. Yeah.
He does care. And that's a cool movie. That's a cool little movie.
Man.
We're going to get into it. Perfect World's a cool movie. I think it's like, we have it on the schedule. So we're going to do A Perfect World.
Yeah.
But so after that, man, he does not take a break. The guy just keeps working. So Untouchables 87, Bull Durham 88, Field of Dreams 89, Dance with Wolves 90, Robin Hood and JFK both 91, Bodyguard 92, Perfect World 93, Wyatt Earp 94. Have you seen Wyatt Earp?
Yeah.
It's long. It's long and not good.
It's Tombstone's like that's like 1A, maybe 2A ball compared to Tombstone playing in the majors.
That's a really good way to put it. Like Tombstone had the way to do it. And then Wyatt Earp's like, we're going to do it completely different. Like, no, not like that. Not like that. Like, it's just, it's a very silly, not good movie. So Wyatt Earp in 94 also did the movie The War. Waterworld in 95. The War's a good movie. And then how about probably the best depiction of golf in film? Have you seen Tin Cup?
No.
I know you hate golf, but Tin Cup is great.
I hate golf so much. I can't. I've tried. I've tried to like it.
I know you have. You have.
I've attempted.
You've tried. I appreciate the attempt. It's nice, but I mean, I get it.
Piss on it.
Tin Cup is a romantic comedy that golf is just happens to be the thing that is surrounding. Kind of like Bull Durham, and Rene Russo looking great. It's the only movie that's ever captured the idea of competitive golf and how it actually can be competitive. It's a great movie. Anyway, so I love Tin Cup. Keeps working. Have you seen the other baseball movie he did, For the Love of the Game?
For the Love of the Game.
He is a pitcher for the Detroit Tigers, and he is essentially at the end of his career. And he's throwing a perfect game. And while he's throwing a perfect game, he remembers his career.
Yes.
Kelly Preston.
Yes.
I like it. I think I like it. It's one of those, like, they don't talk about baseball movies. When they talk about baseball movies, they don't bring up Love of the Game. I like Love of the Game.
Yeah.
And do you know who his catcher is in The Perfect Game? The actor. John C. Reilly.
Really?
That guy pops up all over the place.
Him and what's his name? Who you mentioned earlier?
Yeah.
Jack Black.
Yeah, it's just like, what is he
doing? They
just
kind of pop around.
Yeah. So that was in 99. Another Kuwait classic I want to bring up. Have you remember 13 Days? The JFK Cuban Missile Crisis movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Bruce Greenwood as JFK.
Thought it was pretty good.
I thought it was pretty good. A solid, like, grandpa movie. Like, oh, your grandpa would probably like this. Speaking of grandpa movie, I put it on the list for the sole reason of our grandfather.
Oh, it's Dragonfly.
Dragonfly, baby. Nobody on the planet loved Dragonfly more than our grandfather. Nobody. He thought it was the creme de la creme of all film for the history of film. Boy, does Dragonfly suck. And
it's terrible, but for some reason, he just latched onto it. I don't know why.
Every idiotic thing about the movie is just the thing that he loved. It doesn't make a ton of sense.
I don't know. If I looked at a Rotten Tomatoes score and it said audience 1%, I would say, how did people figure out how to get on there and put in a like? I think he's the only dude.
Now I have to look up Dragonfly on Rotten Tomatoes. Okay, 7% on Rotten Tomatoes for critics, 62 for audience. There's a parallel. Now the critical consensus: sappy, dull, and muddled. Like, everybody just says it's boring as hell and it's bad. I'm like, yeah, it boring, phony, and a complete waste of talent. Yes, Dragonfly is bad. Don't watch Dragonfly, people. Nobody's thought of Dragonfly in the last 15 years, so don't worry. How about a better Kevin Costner movie? A movie he directed, Open Range.
I love open range.
Now you did bring it up in I think our Die Hard episode about very unrealistic bullet math.
Yeah, probably one of the most just the best old Western shootout scene, but also one that you go, it's cool, but it wouldn't happen like that.
Shotguns making guys fly and all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Stuff that defies physics but I love it though.
How about for, you kind of have those niche movies where you're like, the movies about the Navy or the movies about this branch of like surfers or some niche. How about The Guardian with Ashton Kutcher?
Yeah, knew that's where you're going.
Yeah. It's not a very good movie, but
dude, I really don't like Ashton Kutcher.
I don't like him as an actor either. I don't think he's a very good actor.
Especially not in
trying to be
a
dramatic.
Serious role.
Yeah,
a dramatic role. I mean, it's like whenever you're on that 70s show and you're playing this dumbass like pothead kid, you pull that off right.
Nails it. Yes, exactly.
But no, it was stupid.
I agree. He keeps hanging around to little things. He takes a couple years off after 2010. He pops back up in 2013 as Superman's dad. Have you seen Man of Steel? No. Not good movie. He's good in it. He is as Superman's Earth dad. Like he's Clark Kent's adopted dad, and he's really good in it. He's like nice and like he's the actor that you always want Kevin Costner to be, like, that fatherly figure type guy. Good in that movie, but bad movie. I got one more for you. It's I know you are a fan. Like I know you're a Jason Bourne fan. Are you a Jack Ryan? Are you a Jack Ryan fan?
I am.
Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit, where Chris Pine was Jack Ryan.
Nah, I don't think I've seen that.
That is a lot like the Bourne Legacy, where it's fine, but there's a stretch that's really, really good. Like there's some really good things in it, and Kevin Costner's kind of his like superior officer as Jack Ryan is coming up, and he's really good in it. And he's I suggest that it's a nice like, hey, throw it on and not really think much of it. It's a nice little movie. I like Chris Pine. But, I mean, Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit.
Yeah. Well, I think I've only seen, now that I think of it, the John Krasinski ones.
Oh, okay. Or the Harrison Ford ones. Patriot Games and
the old school Tom Clancy.
But I mean, that's a pretty solid movie. You did pretty good, buddy. Yeah. So that does it for our poll for a dumbass for Kevin Costner. He's got one upcoming film which he is directing. It is his passion project. It is called Horizon. It is set in pre and post American Civil War, depicting the expansion of the American West. It is supposedly supposed to come out this year. I don't know what it's about besides that. It's a little broad-minded, I guess.
There's a lot. Yeah,
there's a lot. There's a lot to that. I'm not a Yellowstone guy. I know a lot of people like Yellowstone, and that's essentially what he's known for these days, but still working just fine. I'm sure he's making gobs of cash off that thing.
I don't know. He's probably struggling.
12 out of 16. 12 out of 16 on Kevin Costner. Pretty solid, buddy.
All right.
Think it's about that time, though.
I know. Sir, you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Your et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay, just get in the hot box.
Each episode, instead of me steering the conversation, Jake peppers me with a series of questions that I must answer truthfully. Sometimes it's trivia, sometimes it's not. What you got for me?
So we'll do a Waterworld reference.
Okay.
How comfortable are you in the water?
I feel confident enough where like I don't think I can. I think I could tread water. Like if I'm in the water, like in a pool, I'm not at all worried about it. Like it's like I can settle myself enough where I'm never gonna have trouble in a pool. In the ocean, I see how you can get overwhelmed. Like and it's not like I don't take to it like natural
Riptides, currents,
waves, all that kind of stuff. And
temperature.
Like if fairly calm seas, I feel kind of confident I could like lay on my back and tread for a while. But it's not like something I immediately like, oh, I love the water, I have to jump in the water the first chance I get. It's not bad, but like I said, I think I would die in this world very quickly if I was in Waterworld.
Okay. All right.
Just being honest.
So these are both Kevin Costner. So tell me what you think the best performance from Kevin Costner is in any film, TV, whatever, and what is the worst? Best and worst Kevin Costner.
I'm gonna go with Bull Durham as his best. Like it just it just gives everything he has as far as charm, kind of that swagger, like everything he does right is that. The worst. I'm looking at some real stinkers. I'm gonna have to go with 3,000 Miles to Graceland, where he and Kurt Russell are Elvis impersonator bank robbers. It's a bad movie. It's a very not good movie. I guess I don't think of him as like, man, I really hate him in stuff. He's usually pretty good. I mean, he really sleeps through The Bodyguard, but 3,000 Miles to Graceland is my go-to.
All right.
Do you have an opinion?
Man, best probably Dances with Wolves. Maybe. I just love that movie so much. I know I'm biased, but and then worst maybe Waterworld.
He's
I don't know.
So
I'm sure he's done worse. I just haven't seen it.
I didn't mention it between the two movies. You want to talk about hair differences between two movies? Oh, I mean, in Robin Hood, it's flowing fat locks, and then in Waterworld, it's wet and pretty balding, and just not going great. But I mean,
yeah. Well,
whatever.
He's got enough money to figure that out. You know.
One worst actor he won a Razzie in '92 for Robin Hood. He won a worst actor.
Did he really?
He's won 3 Razzies for Robin Hood, Wyatt Earp, and The Postman. I haven't seen The Postman.
The Postman.
It's another post-apocalyptic, but whatever.
All right. So in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, whenever Robin Hood initially shows up, pretty quickly he finds like the king or the the Lord's guys chasing down a boy for trying to hunt a deer.
Yeah.
So that was feudal law, feudal rule. So like all the animals, all the resources belong to the property owner. And then you had to pay taxes for the honor of living on his place.
Sure.
So I have never lived under the yoke of an HOA because I know I wouldn't. I believe you have.
I am currently living under the yoke of an HOA.
Okay. How is that any different from fucking feudal law?
Well, because feudal law at least made a little bit of sense.
I like it.
I am under the cruel thumb of an HOA, and they are totally and completely useless. They provide no service. I pay for no reason. They do no good.
It's for the honor of living in that
the honor
fucking
of
neighborhood.
living in this neighborhood. That's what an HOA does. I'm going to start calling them feudal lords. That's wonderful. Now I have something more to insult them with. Hey, hello, my
It's feudalism, man. How is it any different?
It's like, oh, do I owe you a fiefdom for this? Like,
Right. Yeah.
Goodness.
Well, shit. I pay property taxes on a place that I've paid off.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
So
whatever.
What the fuck?
Exactly.
This is theft.
It is theft.
I'm going Robin Hood on these.
Taxation without representation.
You got it. I've got a bow and arrow right in there. You guys, watch out.
Okay.
So out of these two movies, Waterworld, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, which one holds up better?
Robin Hood does, just because it's you have at least some competence. Like Morgan Freeman's doing pretty good, and Alan Rickman's a lot of fun and stuff like that. At least there's some like stuff like that. Like the entertainment value of it at least is there. Like you said, that last 30 minutes is pretty solid.
Yeah.
Of Robin Hood. And Waterworld has its little bits of brilliance here and there, but I mean, overall, you're just like, this is a slog.
Yeah. Yeah. But for the most part. Okay. What is your favorite scene from Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves? Because I figured that would be your preference over the two.
Yes.
It is, as it is mine. Yes. Which one? What's your favorite scene from Robin Hood then?
It's essentially the sequence where Christian Slater is about to be beheaded, and the guy lifts the thing, and the flames are in the back. Slow-mo arrow to the face. I'm just like, yes, that is just everything. That's about solid. That is just it makes you want to, like, okay, I'm gonna go for a run now. Like I have the energy to go for a
exactly
jog. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So just quick little thing. I almost hidalgoed myself.
Did you?
Again.
Did you?
Yeah, because when I was thinking of that question, I was thinking, okay, what would be my response to it? And I was like, I like the part where the king pushes the guy out the window.
There was some Braveheart. Yeah.
Yep. Wrong.
Well,
they both have castles in them.
I appreciate you stopping yourself. And it was like, is there?
I did. I caught it.
I'm trying to think if there's any overlap between the two, and I don't think there is.
Not really.
No. Yeah. Scottish English.
There is one major overlap, which I think it's because I'm stupid and I've watched both of them. So I'm the common denominator, I think.
There you go.
All right. Do you like Kevin Costner has really kind of gone into the cowboy mode?
Very much so.
Yeah. Western, rancher, etc. Do you think he is going to end up ultimately being a Western actor like John Wayne? Even though John Wayne did a lot of other stuff, do you think he's going to be best known for his Westerns or cowboy movies?
I don't think so, just because he has such the baseball reputation. Like,
he does.
Baseball is the thing that's saving him from that. If not for that, yes. Because
then he's completely typecast.
Because it's like Silverado, Dances with Wolves, Wyatt Earp, Open Range, this upcoming movie, Yellowstone. He was in the Hatfields and McCoys miniseries. Like baseball is essentially the only thing saving him from that.
Yeah.
And the problem is baseball is so long ago that it's the recent history of it all is all Westerns.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking like, you know, a kid growing up nowadays, their familiarity with Kevin Costner is probably just going to be Westerns, cowboy movies,
100%,
along those lines.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
But
I agree. That's a really interesting point.
He does a good job at it, but
he does.
So
he does.
I'll give it to him.
Yep.
All right. Well, Ben, I don't think I have any further questions, and unless you have any for me, you're free to go, sir.
Well, I appreciate that. Before we go, what's your rating of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves?
I like it. I think it still holds up.
Yep.
Yeah. Is there plenty to criticize about it? Sure, but I think it still holds up.
I think so too. I
like it.
It probably lands somewhere within 2.5, 3 range for me. Like it's all any problems I have with it are kind of overwhelmed by the fact that it's just entertaining and
nostalgic.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
And then what about Waterworld?
It's kind of. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really.
Yeah, it's one of those, like, I know it's not good, but I'll still watch it. Like, I watch it, almost a hate watch it almost. Yeah, so probably 2.5, something.
Yeah,
like that. Yes, something.
It's. I'm with you. If it's on, I'll probably watch it. But like you said, hate watch it. I would describe Waterworld as the ultimate grudge fuck.
Okay. Sure.
I mean, it's like, I'm in, but I'm not going to be nice about it. I'm going to take it out on you. I'm going to tell everyone what I did, and you're not going to look good.
That's that's a new category for us.
The grudge fuck of movies. Waterworld.
We're not going to top that. So that just about does it for this episode of the Film Critic of the Common Man. Thank you so very much for joining us. You can follow me on Twitter at NebHasBeen, on Letterboxd at Neb810, on Instagram at Bill and Middle Movies. Check out my website, icecreamforfreaks.com. You can follow my other writing of film experience at Cinema Scholars. You can follow me on other pods. I'm the Dave Methuselah podcasting. Jake, where can the people find you? I assume on a boat in the middle of nowhere, drinking your own pee.
Nope. I will never drink my own pee. The closest I ever got to drinking my own pee is a Corona Light. Okay.
Fair enough.
But I don't know.
Taking those sweet Corona dollars away from us. Make sure to follow the podcast on Twitter, Critic Comment Pod. Please like, subscribe, rate, review. Enjoy the show wherever you get your podcast. We'll catch you next time when we get our first Quentin Tarantino movie. We're going World War II Quentin Tarantino with Inglourious Bastards. That's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. So,
woo, banger.
Can't wait for that one. Thank you all so much. Y'all have a good one.
What's the trick? What's the trick? In making my love stick. What's the trick?